For the past few years, you've just been surviving, but this year is going to be different. This year, you're going to thrive. And I want that at the end of this year, you're going to look back and actually say that this year was my year. So this is not about being too ambitious about your New Year's resolution. This is exactly what you're going to do to make sure that this happens. First of all, you're going to ditch motivation. See, this singular factor is what helped me to achieve a lot more last year than in previous years, even though I was even busier than in the previous years. I shared some of my accomplishments of 2025. And looking back now, the only way I was able to achieve those things despite my busy schedule was because I wasn't relying heavily on my motivation. See, I've come to understand that as human beings, nobody can motivate you to do what you've not decided to do, and you cannot even motivate yourself to do things that are against your environment. So if you must thrive this year, you need to build systems around every single thing you want to achieve. Basically, this means that you're trying to reduce your reliance on willpower, which is usually very unreliable, at least 8 out of 10 times. So how do you build a sustainable system for yourself? The first thing is to identify all the possible barriers to the things you want to achieve. So for instance, you want to lose weight. What are the possible barriers? Is it time? Is it work? Is it the weather? What are these barriers? Identify them. And when you've identified them, you now try to develop ways to minimize or to bypass them. For me, last year, content creation was a big thing on my plate, and I wanted to be consistent, but I had a full-time job. I also have a toddler. I could come back and I'll feel tired and not want to film. I could feel like filming, but my daughter doesn't feel like cooperating. And these are all possible barriers for me. I had to film when my husband was free to play with her, or when I'm sure she's going to be asleep, and also when I feel like I've rested enough. So a combination of these things made a perfect filming time for me. Now, when you found ways to mitigate some of these barriers, the third thing you're going to do is to schedule whatever thing you want to do. I've been screaming this throughout last year. Use your calendar, block off that time. The reason is that there is some kind of seriousness that comes with seeing something on your calendar. You're not trying to be rigid, but the reason you're able to show up at work at a certain time and then clock off at a certain time is because that time has been set. So if you do the same for the projects you have, you're more likely to do them because you can see how it fits into your day, and it's easy to move it around if you need to. So for instance, in my case, I could say I'm going to film today, no timing, nothing. The chances that I will come back home and I'll be carried away by one task or the other, or different things happening around me, is very high. But if I know that I'm supposed to film between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., I have this sense of urgency to do things I need to do before that time. Sometimes it doesn't mean you start at 9, but you're focused enough to prepare yourself in advance for that particular time. Now, this is very important. When it comes to building systems, please, I beg of you, make sure you schedule time to rest. This is something I didn't do a lot last year, and my body felt it. Towards the end of the year, I started to feel burnt out, and I wasn't as consistent as I was earlier on in the year. So please, I beg you, while you're doing all of this and putting all the plenty things you want to do, schedule time for rest. If you don't have a hobby, please find a hobby. Find something that relaxes you. Find something that just gives you joy, that is not like a chore that you always have to do. There is so much for you to do this year. I'm sure you can already see that by the things you've laid out. So you can't afford to be burnt out. It's somebody that is alive that will be productive. Please rest and schedule the rest too. I think I mentioned this in one of my videos. I will link it up here. I think it's about how to live intentionally even with a busy life schedule. So you can go ahead and watch that video, and I'm sure it will help you. The second thing you're going to do to make sure this year is different is to move on quickly from bad circumstances. Quick disclaimer: this is not referring to life-changing situations like losing someone. I'm talking about random inconveniences and setbacks that happen on a day-to-day basis. Say you missed your train, or there was traffic, or you woke up in the morning and the first person who spoke to you didn't speak to you nicely. You know, all those little things like that that have the potential to ruin your entire day. Move on quickly from them. So you've planned your day, you got to work and you had an altercation with someone. Don't allow that to ruin your entire day. If you find yourself in those situations, always ask yourself, how much does this matter in the grand scheme of things? And then weigh the impact of that situation against the impact of ruining your entire day, or not doing everything else you've planned, hurting someone, or even just making an erratic decision based off of that situation. By the time you do the analysis, you will understand that it's not really worth it. Snap out of that bad mood as quickly as you can. If you need to speak to someone, speak to someone. Change environment if you can. Another thing you can do when you're in such situations where it looks like your day is about to be ruined mood and you have important things to do, is to maybe come online and watch people who are doing those same things. There are so many times I've come back home and I don't feel like filming. In fact, I feel like, is it even worth it? Like, why am I staying awake to film for people who will not watch it? For how many viewers? But by the time I come online and I see other creators, you know, showing up and doing their thing, it inspires me, and somehow I get in the mood of doing those things irrespective of whatever is happening in my surroundings. The third thing we're going to do this year to make sure that this year is our year and nothing else is coming between us and that, is to detach yourself from both praise and criticism. Basically, don't look around for anybody's validation in the pursuit of your goals this year. This was one key mindset I had last year. I don't care if people say I'm doing well or not. If there are comments, if there are feedbacks, I take it, but they are not personal. If there are good comments, we praise God. If there are negative comments, we also thank God. We take the feedback, work on it, and move on. If there are no feedbacks at all, that's also fine. Seek advice whenever you can, but don't let people deter you from doing something that you're so convinced and passionate about. Just live your life as authentically as possible and be content with your process, your progress, and your journey. Sometimes the problem is you're trying to go somewhere, you're distracted by the fact that other people are doing something else that look appealing, and so you leave the one you're doing and you go to them, or you're feeling discouraged in the things you're doing because other people don't seem to see it in the way you're seeing it. So please, this year, focus on yourself. Detach yourself completely from both praise and criticism. I know this is not the easiest thing to do because it took me a long time to get to this point where I can really say I don't care about what anybody else thinks, and I share a lot about that in my free newsletter. Subscribe using the link in the description box, and also subscribe to my channel if you're new here. Let's grow together into a better version of ourselves this year. This year is our year. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.